And it came to pass that when I was come again to Jerusalem, even while I prayed in the temple, I was in a trance, and saw him saying unto me, Make haste, and get thee quickly out of Jerusalem, for they will not receive thy testimony concerning me. And I said, Lord, they know that I imprisoned and beat in every synagogue them that believed on thee. And when the blood of thy martyr Stephen was shed, I also was standing by, and consented unto his death, and kept the raiment of them that slew him. And he said unto me, Depart, for I will send thee far hence unto the Gentiles. And they gave him audience unto this word, and then lifted up their voices, and said, Away with such a fellow from the earth, for it is not fit that he should live. And as they cried out, and cast off their clothes, and threw dust into the air, the chief captain commanded him to be brought into the castle, and bade that he should be examined by scourging, that he might know wherefore they cried so against him. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman, and uncondemned? When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, Take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, Tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, Yea. And the chief captain answered, With a great sum obtained I this freedom. And Paul said, But I was freeborn. Then straightway they departed from him which should have examined him. And the chief captain also was afraid, after he knew that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him.
Second Ezra 14. Okay, and this is our father Yahweh. This is our father Yahweh having a conversation with the prophet Ezra, which his name is spelled a little different because it's been translated from different manuscripts. But when you go to the 66, which is incomplete, by the way, you got to have the apocrypha with it. But when you go to the 66, his name will be Ezra. That's this same prophet, Ezra's, right? So that prophet Ezra or Ezra is having a conversation with the Most High, our Father Yahweh, through the archangel Uriel. I made sure I had the right one, because Raphael is over in Tobit. This is Uriel. So Uriel's there, but through Uriel, our Father Yahweh, our Father Yahweh is speaking to Ezra through the angel. And this is what he tells him about how much time is left in this age. Okay, so 2nd Ezra 14. It's getting a little dark out here. Let me find it. This is a very heavy chapter, man. Woo. How you doing? You need something?
No, it's okay if I take a picture.
For what purpose?
Just I do photography on Instagram. It's just street photography.
All right. I mean, just photography.
Yeah.
I suppose so. It's you can go on YouTube and take snapshots and anything, but you just taking pictures for your Instagram page or something.
Just taking pictures for Instagram.
All right.
Just trying to get some creative stuff.
Well, I tell you what though, it'd be good to let me know that first.
Yeah. You also are in public though. Just a fair warning.
Yeah, but it's a polite thing to do.
Are you live streaming?
Yeah, it's a polite thing to do.
I was on camera down there.
But I didn't know.
No.
Just let me know you're doing it. I'm all right with it.
Yeah,
I'm all right
okay.
with it.
I'm just saying. But you're doing the same thing. We're in the same boat right now.
No. But see, that's not the same thing, because you're taking a picture specifically of me to put on a page, which I'm not gonna care about it too much, because, like I said, it's on YouTube. But that the polite thing to do would be to let me know that. Yeah. So that way pictures are not being taken of me and I don't know it.
You should also politely.
No. Don't try. Don't. Don't. Well, then,
if you want to play that boat, you should angle your camera away from the street.
Well, then do this. Do me a favor then. And now it's no longer all right.
Do me a favor.
No, it's no longer all right
for you to be
all right,
straight in
and
the
when they
street.
get the hell out of here, man. You false, man. You should have just let me know that. Nobody's here. Take your picture. Then get on. Take your picture and get out of here, man. Take your picture and get out of here, Esau. Take your picture and get out of here, Esau. Okay? No. You can't do that, man. Look. No, you can't do that.
Hey, don't step up.
Don't take pictures of me like that. You can't do that. Well, then don't do that.
Don't step up.
Don't. Hey, look,
You're in public. You have no right to privacy in public.
Nah, man. You can't be doing. Man, you get out of here, bro. Hey, look, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because this devil right here is out here causing trouble. So I'm gonna go out here and wrap up. Okay? I don't give a damn what you. You don't know what I preach. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know what I preach. Get the fuck out of here, man. Now I said you should let me know. You should let me know. Man, get the hell out of here. I'm done with you, man. Get the hell out of here. I'm done with you, man. Get the hell out of here. The devil calling the pot calling the kettle black. Get the hell out of here, Esau. You showing your true colors. You showing your true colors. You showing your true colors. Yeah, I hear you calling me boy too. I hear you calling me boy too. I will. Look, you're gonna get what you asked for, Esau. You're gonna get what you asked for, Esau. I heard you say it. You're gonna get what you asked for. All right, man. Hey, and so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You know, hey, I use it. See, that's part of the reason why I don't usually stay out here at night. So let me just go ahead and wrap this up. And before I do, I'm gonna get all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shabbat, Recha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. To the hopeful elect, the 144,000.
Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba, Recha HaKodash, Kol Tapat Harath, Hawad, Wahaloyam, Rawatam Yatla, Allah Hayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba, Recha HaKodash. And what I just said in the Lashon Kodash being the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, or in other words, the true biblical Hebrew for holy tongue or language. And what I just said is all glory, honor, and praises abundantly and continuously to our power, Yahweh, the true name of our Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls God, and the name of his only begotten Son, our Savior, our Messiah, our Deliverer, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, in, or in other words, through the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. To the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as the rest of the elect, scattered abroad amongst the heathen nations to the four corners of the earth, east, north, south, and west. To you I say, Shalom. This is your brother Ra'aib Tazadakwa coming back at you again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, with another lesson. All right, another in-transit lesson, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Shai. Yahweh Ratazah is going to be edifying and encouraging to you, Achim, and any Achwaf, brothers and sisters that may be listening and or watching. All right, and so the first thing I'm going to say is that this is an in-transit. I am on the road, so if there's any pauses, hesitations, or delays, you know why. And I do appreciate your patience and understanding in that regard. And I say Tawada, which is the ancient Paleo-Hebrew for thank you. I say Tawada in advance. Now, this I guess exchange, if you want to call it that, just took place just yesterday at the end of the live altar teaching from yesterday. And, the spirit was flowing, beautifully all through the camp. A lot of edification was coming out all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemashah. And then right as I was trying to wrap up the last portion of the camp, and bring out a few more things that I had intended to bring out, this Edomite came up here and disrupted the end of the camp, and I wind up wrapping it up before I brought out the last few things I wanted to bring out. So, in order to not leave those points dangling and hanging, I'm going to do a lesson tomorrow And tomorrow night, I'm probably going to go ahead and bring those things out, along with, actually, no, that is it, because the last two things I wanted to bring out that this demon here, this devil here, interfered with was, and I don't want to let him have a victory on that where I never come back around and get to it and bring it out. So I'm going to bring it out, Yahweh Razah, Lord willing, subject to the Spirit. I'll bring it out tomorrow, because the last two things I wanted to get was the precept in 2nd Ezra, which goes into the timing of this age, you know, starting from creation all the way up into, you know, the end of the time of the Gentiles. So I wanted to bring that out, and I wanted to also bring out a few, you know, of the heavy prophecies that are being fulfilled. Okay, relating to the Third World's War, you know, the three woes, and also tying in the charagma. You got digital wallets being made mandatory over in the UK. Digital IDs. I got to refresh my memory whether it's digital wallet or digital ID. I can't remember, but whichever the two it was made. It's being made mandatory, or they're either about to make it mandatory or they already have. All right, and so I'm gonna, you know, be bringing out some heavy prophecies that are being fulfilled, showing you that we're very close to the end of this age. All right, and you got like almost all of the countries at the United Nations acknowledging the statehood of Palestine, acknowledging Palestine as its own state, which, you know, there's not very many that are not acknowledging. I think pretty much you got Israel and you got America. I'm not sure if there's too many others that don't acknowledge it, right? And then Benjamin Netanyahu gets up at the UN General Assembly to speak, and like half or more than half of the nations that are there get up and walk out on him. It's so many nations getting up and walking out on Benjamin Netanyahu that he has to wait. He doesn't even start speaking. He's just sitting there looking, and he's got this like indignant look on his face, and it's almost like he's like taking notes. He's like, okay, I see who's walking out. So anyway, the point is there's a lot of heavy end time biblical prophecies being fulfilled. You got uproars and seditions. You got so many things happening, and I'm not going to try and bring it all out. All I wanted to do towards the end is bring out the precept about the timing, you know, the 9.5 parts, and it's 12 parts total. I just wanted to bring that precept out, so I'll bring it out in the lesson tomorrow, and then touch on a few of the highlights of end time biblical prophecy, because there's so much going on, so much happening with regards to end time biblical prophecy that you could never bring it all out. It's just so much happening. But not only is it so much happening, the things that are happening, the prophecies that are being fulfilled are very heavy, very heavy prophecies. So I just wanted to highlight those things just to kind of, it's an encouragement, okay? Seeing the biblical prophecies get fulfilled, it comforts us, because that means that we don't have much longer to be in this hellhole. We don't have much longer to be in this low and miserable condition that we're in here in America, Babylon the Great, which is hell. We don't have much longer to be here. Our deliverance and our salvation draweth nigh. And when you see these things begin to be fulfilled, lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh. And that's going to be coming from Luke, the 21st chapter. And so that gives us comfort. And that's why I wanted to bring it out. And when I bring it out tomorrow, keep in mind, for any of you that watch this lesson and the one tomorrow, keep in mind that what I'm bringing out is just highlights. It's scratching the surface. Now, I wanted to speak on this event that took place at the end of the camp, because I'm always looking, anytime something like this happens, I'm always evaluating myself, how I handled it, and I'm always looking to, you know, see what I could have done better and to improve. Okay, I'm always looking to learn and get better and improve, and that was definitely the case with this event, because truth be told, I never really want to have exchanges and interactions like this. I'm not out there for that. I'm out there for the sheep. I'm out there for the lambs. I'm out there to preach, thus saith Yahweh Shemashah. I'm not out there. I won't say really. I'm not out there at all to interact with any heathen, with any dog. All right. And in case you didn't know it, the heathen are likened unto dogs in the scriptures in multiple places. The 22nd Psalm, Yahushai, Yahushai even called, he made a reference to, which was it? I forget which, I think it was I forget which one of the women, where she was from, but he made a reference to her as being a dog. Okay, he said, just paraphrasing, I'm not going to pull it up because I got a lot of ground I want to cover, but it's not fit to give what's for the children to the dogs. And he wasn't talking about the literal dogs. He was talking about that woman, right? But it turns out that woman was a daughter of Zion, and that's why she had that great faith. So Yahushua ultimately granted her request and dealt with her, right? But we're not out there to be contending with dogs, with heathen, okay, with devils, with Edomites, okay? But, sometimes things happen. You can kind of get ambushed, and you can kind of, because as it is written, let me get this precept now. And the reason why, before I get the precept, the reason why I opened up with this example in Acts the 22nd chapter is because the Apostle Paul, he sets a very good example. And so I want to pull from his example because that's an area that I could have done better in when I was interacting with that demon. Okay, I could have done better when I was interacting with that devil. And the Apostle Paul sets a good example here. And I've made some improvements. And I want to also highlight the Apostle Paul's example for you brothers and encourage you brothers who are out there on the highways and hedges, out there on the front lines, and, making our bodies a living sacrifice and hazarding our lives for the gospel, hazarding our lives for Yahweh Shem Shah. I want to make sure that you brothers, have this example in your mind as well, and that you can make these improvements also, because we always want to try to be better, right? So I could have done better, right? And so moving with wisdom, right? But here's what it says in Ephesians 6 and 12, right? Okay. Let's get 10 through 12, and that's all we need. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Ha'adawan and in the power of his might. Okay, not in our own power, not in our own might, not in our own strength. Okay, really, we don't have any. Okay, let me get this real quick right now as well, because we're going to be in that Acts. We're going to come back to that. Matthew 10 and 16. We can just get it right there because I'm going down the road. I don't want to try to do too much. Behold, these are the words of our Lord, Adonai Yahushai Hamashiach, our big brother. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Now, sheep are not animals of prey. Okay, sheep are not animals of prey. And yeah, you can have a ram, and a ram can have some horns and, do some fighting and things like that. But the idea here is that sheep are pretty much defenseless. Okay, sheep are pretty much vulnerable, especially with regards to wolves. Okay, you got your horns if you're a ram, and you can kind of try to fend the wolf off, but that's not really an ideal situation. That's far from an ideal situation. Okay, the point being made here is that we're defenseless. Okay, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So we have to have a wisdom that is likened unto the wisdom of serpents, but this wisdom is from above. Okay, I believe that's James the 3rd chapter. Okay, it might be the 2nd chapter, but I believe it's the end of James the 3rd chapter, right? Not an earthly, sensual, devilish wisdom, but the wisdom which is from above, and harmless as doves, right? So let me get another one here. And this is where I drew the title from: Walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time, right? Because redeeming the time, that means we make the best use of the time, right? Redeeming the time, right? As opposed to wasting time contending with dogs, contending with heathen, contending with devils. We're not out there for that, right? And he actually was successful in disrupting the end of the camp, and I regret that was the case. I would have liked to have handled the situation better, and if I was better prepared, I could have handled the situation better. And so that's the reason why I've made some improvements. I've increased my knowledge, and I want to pass that information along to you brothers as well, so that you brothers can be better prepared also. And Yahweh Razah, if something like that happens again, which it's likely to, especially the closer we get to the end. The more these demons and these devils are going to get stirred up. Okay, we already know what time it is. Okay, Esau has got his plans to come after us, and I'm not talking about the common, Joe Sixpack Edomites. I'm talking about the elites, the ones that govern this world, that govern America, Babylon the Great. Okay, they got Trump. They have files on all of us, man. They're watching all of us, and they're coming to get us. So the closer we get to the end, the more perilous things are going to get. And we know that some of us are going to be grabbed up, and we know that some of us are going to be taken before, whatever you want to call it, the judges and magistrates and whatever, and we're going to have to give an answer. Yahweh Shai said as much in the scriptures. Okay, Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13. So we need to walk in wisdom toward them that are without, and redeem the time. Okay, and how do we redeem the time? By feeding the flock, feeding the sheep. Not by being out there and getting ambushed and allowing the flow of the spirit to get disrupted. Now sometimes that's just going to happen, and it's nothing you can really much do with it. And in a situation like that, it may be beneficial to just close up shop or move somewhere else, or just wrap it up for the day. But to the best of our ability, we don't want to let the flow of the spirit and the edification be disrupted. And as I was evaluating myself and how I handled it immediately after the event took place, and throughout the rest of the day, and into this morning and this afternoon, and I've been meditating and praying on it and thinking about it all day, I could have done better, and I wish I would have done better. But it is a learning process. So but back into this Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And I wanted to also get this Ephesians 6. Get back into that real quick before I get. And that's why I don't like to get too many priests. That's why I'm driving. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Ha'adawan and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles, the schemes, the tactics. Okay, as it says in is that 1 Corinthians? Let's see if I can remember this correctly. 2:11. No, not that one. Maybe a 2 Corinthians. If not, I'll just paraphrase it because I'm going down the road. Okay, no, that's not either. And I can't remember the exact address. I always have difficulty remembering this one. But for we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. Okay, we are not ignorant of Hashatan's devices, which again ties right back to this. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? And so we know that we're really wrestling against demonic entities and demonic powers that are going to influence people here on this earth, especially Edomites, but also the wicked of our people, to come and just disrupt the flow of the spirit. Okay, they're there to oppose the work of Ha'adawan, Yahweh Ba'ashim Al-Bashai, and righteousness. They're there to they're there to oppose it. They're there to disrupt it, and disrupt the flow of the spirit. And unfortunately, that's what happened yesterday, and that's one of the things that bothers me about it so much. But it happens sometimes. Okay, but the point is, I could have done better, and even if I had done better, it still may have been disrupted. Okay, sometimes it's that way. And when you read the account of the Apostle Paul, what was going on there, and you go back to the preceding chapter, that's what happened. Okay, all right, everything was going fine. Paul was in the temple, but then they started hearing him preaching there, and the wicked of our people, they stirred up the crowd against the Apostle Paul. Okay, the Apostle Paul was there in the temple, and all of a sudden they stirred up the crowd. This truth, this gospel of the kingdom that we preach, okay, it stirs up spirits, it stirs up demons. All right, it stirs up these devils, especially the Edomites and also the wicked of our people. Okay, and it can stir up the other heathen nations as well, but typically it's going to be either the Edomites themselves, the wicked, or it's going to be the wicked of our people. Okay, usually it's going to be either wicked Israelites or the Edomites. Okay, but when this word is going out, when this word is being preached, it stirs up spirits. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Yeah, that flesh and blood Edomite was there, but hey, look, he's an agent of Satan, Hashatan. He is a physical representation. They are the spirit. Slag, I'm misspeaking here. They are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan here on this earth. In other words, they are the people here on this earth that do the bidding of the spiritual demon Satan. So any Edomite at any time can come up and just be on complete and total demon mode. Okay, if the wicked of our people can do that, then certainly the Edomites can do that. Okay, and that's what happens. So we got to keep that in mind. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what we're up against. And so when we're out there preaching this word, all right, especially out there on the highways and hedges, because we're out there and we're exposed, right? We're out there. Anything can happen. Okay? All right, anything can happen on the highways and hedges at any time, right? And that's why it's good to make sure we send up the prayers. It's good to make sure that we're endeavoring and striving as much as possible. Okay, we're not perfect on this, but as much as possible to always be moving and operating in the spirit as much as we possibly can to the very best of our ability. Okay, because we are out there as sheep amongst wolves. Right now, when Yahushua said that, the wolves he was referring to was wicked Israelites, but all the more so with these heathen, and especially all the doubly more so with Edomites, which that's who I was encountering there. Okay, and I'm not just saying that because he looked like an Edomite. I'm saying that based off of his conduct, the way he was interacting with me, the way he was reasoning in his logic, and then ultimately he started calling me boy, right? And so, it was clear to me over the course of the exchange that I was dealing with a devil. And so, but we're wrestling against flesh and blood, and we got to keep that in mind. So the only way to succeed against those demonic entities is in the spirit. The job of those demonic entities, operating and working through the physical people that are there, okay, whether it be wicked Israelites or whether it be Edomites or even the other nations, but typically it's not the other nations. Okay, they usually just go on about their business. Okay, but the point is to get us out of the spirit, and I unfortunately allowed that to happen. And like I said, it was an ambush. It was like I kind of got suckered into it. It was like, gotcha, sucker, because I don't ever want that to happen. And that's why I was evaluating it, and I was like, man, how could I have done better? What should I have done better? And I've been working on that, and I want to share what, the Spirit has revealed to me. I'm going to share that with you brothers, because I also looked into the legality of the matter, and I found out that I was in the right, on 2 points. And I could have, if I would have had that information on hand, I could have used that information to hopefully nip the situation in the bud before it disrupted the camp. But I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared. I was caught unprepared, but I'm going to share with you brothers what I found out on the legality of the matter. I'm going to share that out. I'm going to share that with you in a little bit. Okay, because he was in the wrong. He was breaking laws on two accounts, at least 2 accounts. Okay, but if you were to listen to the devil, all right, with his demonic reasoning, he was in the right. Right, but actually I looked into it and found out that no, he was actually in wrong. And if I would have been prepared with that, I could have threatened him with that and be like, hey, look, you're actually in the wrong, and if you don't, go on about your business, I'm going to call the police on you. Right, and he probably would have just left me alone and got out of there, because who wants to stick around for a legal issue, right? So, but you never know. He was on demon time. He still might have done some stuff before he got out of there. So, and if all else fails, the best thing to do is to just shut it down. I was pretty much at the end anyway. If all else fails, just shut it down and get out of there, right? Because we're not out there for any type of carnality, right? So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this other precept real quick, and I'm gonna show you where that demon was wrong. I'm gonna bring out the legality of the matter. Okay, and it's good to know this information. And and here's another thing. For the weapons of our warfare, 2 Corinthians 10:4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And Salakia, if I'm choppy a little bit, like I said, this isn't in transit, so my thoughts may be not as fluent as they typically would be. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And I've noticed this as I've gotten into exchanges with heathen, okay, especially the Edomites. Whether it be out in the course of my normal actions as I'm doing my job. I hate having to be out amongst these heathen so much because I move and operate in a way to avoid situations. I really do. I move and operate. I just want to be left alone. I'm not bothering nobody. I'm barely saying anything to anybody. I really don't want to be out and about amongst these heathen. I really don't. So I'm moving and operating in a way to really avoid people, right? And I don't say much to anybody. And if somebody says something to me, I typically, I'm talking about says something to me a little off, I typically don't respond. I typically, they probably can tell by the look on my face, but I typically don't say anything because I'm really not wanting to interact with these people, right? But I have noticed that, if you're out and about amongst these heathen as much as I am, and I lament that that's the case, but it has to be the case because I got to make my daily bread. And if I'm out amongst these heathen, if you're out as much amongst these heathen as much as I am, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, you may avoid 99 things, but that 100th time, it may be something that you're not able to avoid. Okay, it's just something that kind of, like I said about this a bit of an ambush, right? It like develops around you, and you already are caught up in it before you even realize that you're caught up in it. By the time you realize that you're caught up in it, it's already developed, right? And so that happens. It's like you can't avoid everything, right? And so what I've noticed is that a lot of these devils, the Edomites, it's been like, this is like the third time, at least the second, but the third time that I've had one of them try to, particularly the Edomites, they try to entice me into a fight. It's like they're children in the schoolyard. Do something about it. And they're really trying to entice me into carnality, right? And here's the thing. We're men, and we're chafed in the spirit, okay? And the scripture speaks about such. We're chafed in the spirit. We're vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. And here it is, these dogs are moving their tongues against us. These dogs are lifting up their voices and barking against us. And it's highly disrespectful. And then it's what I'm saying is it's a provocation. And that's what that devil was doing. You couldn't see him off camera. And when I play it again, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to tell you what he was doing to provoke me. And if it's one thing that I really regret the most that I could change, and nothing happened with it because I didn't go over there to get carnal. But if it's one thing I could change and I regret the most, it would be that I stepped towards him, because that right there, that's when he triggered me. And I really wish I had not been triggered. But he triggered me because he did something extremely disrespectful. And it was an automatic reaction to just step to him. And I wasn't stepping to him to get physical. And I'll explain it when I break it down. But if I could take one thing back, I would take that back, because that was a trigger reaction. Everything else up to that point, I could do better, but it wasn't so bad. But once I stepped to him, I really wish I hadn't have done that. That right there could have potentially caused things to get worse. And so, that's definitely something that I'm gonna keep in my mind going forward. Just make sure I stay behind. But like I said, it was a trigger. I didn't even think about it. I just did it, right? And so, because of the disrespect, the point I'm making is that, these demons, they know how to trigger us. They know just the right way to kind of get under our skin, and the point is to get us out of the spirit, man. And we don't want that to happen. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. Because see, they can't contend with us spiritually. They can't contend with us intellectually. They can't contend with us spiritually or intellectually, and their only ground or their only play is to get us out of the spirit and into the flesh, to get us out of the spiritual and into the carnal. That's the play. That's the play. And we really need to not let that happen. Okay. Our safety, our protection, and our power is in the spiritual. Our protection, our safety, and our power is in the spiritual. And we need to stay in the spirit, right? But that's the whole play that they have. The demons that are operating through these heathen, these Edomites, and these heathen in general, the play that they have, the tactic and the scheme that they're utilizing is to get us out of the spirit and into the flesh. Okay, that's it. That's if they can do that, then they're going to be successful in that skirmish, that battle. If they can't do that, then they're defeated. And so we want to stay in the spirit. And you know, that's why I'm saying I could have done better. I wish I'd have done better. And so, you know, I'm endeavoring and striving to do better. And, you know, I seek forgiveness from the Father because I didn't do as well as I should have done. And, you know, salakia to anybody that, just salakia to those that were watching, because I want to set the best example possible. And I didn't set the best example, right? And especially when I stepped out from behind. So like I said, just evaluating it, looking at how I could have done better, where you know, I messed up and I could have done better, you know, and seeking to make those improvements, and then share those improvements with you brothers, you know, because we all need to get better, you know. And if I can help you brothers get better and y'all can learn from my mistakes, everything is a learning experience. You know, we always try to learn. We always try to get better. We confess our faults. You know, we repent, we confess our faults before Yahweh Shem Shah and to one another. You know, confess your sins and your faults one to another. You know, forgiving one another and all that. You know, none of us are perfect. We're all in the flesh. But it's a learning opportunity. And if you brothers can learn and get better and get built up and edified and be better prepared from something that happens to me, even if I don't handle it the best, then I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that. So, you know, but their play is to get us out of the spirit and into the flesh. And we don't want to let that happen. Okay. We want to stay in the spirit. I want to stay in the spirit. I don't ever want an interaction like that to happen. But like I said, it was kind of a spiritual ambush. I was suckered into it before I even realized that it was happening. And so let me show you the legality of the matter. And then I'm gonna get into breaking down the event a little bit, and then show the Apostle Paul's example, because the Apostle Paul used the legality of the day. He used the law, the Roman law, to his benefit, and I should have done that, because see, I knew there's two things here that I could have used, and I should have used them both, because see, I knew about one of them, but it just wasn't in my mind. I wasn't mentally prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared for this type of thing to happen, but I should have been, right? And then the other one I didn't know about, but I should have looked that one up too. And so I'm gonna share that with you brothers now, because that devil was trying to tell me that me having my camera set up, recording myself with people just incidentally walking into the frame and then walking out of the frame, that's the same thing as him sneakily, because that's the way he was doing it at first. He was sneakily taking pictures of me without my knowledge up close. And he was trying to tell me that that's the same thing. And I already know that's not the same thing. That's the logic of a devil. That's the logic of an Edomite. That's the logic of a demon. And I already knew that, right? But what I didn't know is that while it's lawful to take pictures and just record, you know, a general view out in public, you know, like what I was doing, you know, I have the camera set up there, and as people walk along the sidewalk and they come in it, yeah, that's legal. You can do that. This is out in public, right? Or if somebody's just taking random pictures, you know, out in public, and somebody is in the picture, that's also legal. But what's not legal is to come up in somebody's face and take pictures of them against their will. And I just didn't know that it was not legal to do that, or I could say, hey, look, that's stalking. See, so that's why I went to AI, and I went to Google, and I put into Google, and I just said, is it considered stalking? You know, because I know we can't be stalked. And I said, is it considered stalking to take pictures of someone in Kentucky up close, you know, in other words, you know, close proximity to them, take pictures of someone in public against their will? Is that considered stalking? Right? And this is, you know, of course, AI takes AI kind of takes a synopsis and kind of aggregates all the data and gives you, you know, kind of a roll together type of response. And come to find out, yes, consistently taking close up photos of someone, especially after they've asked you to stop, could be considered stalking and may lead to legal action. And I did not know that. And I should have known that. Had I known that, I could have hit him with that and Yahweh Ratazah, because I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to have any interaction. I don't want to have any confrontation. Yahweh Ratazah, if I knew that and I hit him with that, it would have brought the interaction to an end, and he would have went on about his way, and I would have continued and brought out the edification and the flow of the Spirit, and the edification would not have been interfered with and interrupted. That's the best case scenario to me, but I didn't know it. So but now I do. Now I do, and now I'm prepared, and I'm going to keep this in mind, and you brothers keep it in mind too. You know, and you may have to check for your particular state, right? This is just an AI summarization, right? So you know, look into it a little further, do your due diligence, and look into it a little deeper. But most likely, you're going to find that in your particular state, it's the same thing. Yes. Consistently taking close-up photos of someone, especially after they've asked you to stop, could be considered stalking and may lead to legal action, such as a stalking no contact order, because it involves a pattern of unwanted attention and harassment. Yeah, it's just flat out disrespectful, and that's what triggered me, because even though we were disagreeing, it's one thing for us to have a disagreement, and I already saw what time he was on, and he already had me angry at that point, but not like uncontrollably angry, but I was pissed at him and I was done with him. But then even though we're having a disagreement, now he's like 10 feet away from me, and I already let him know, look, I'm not okay with it anymore, and he puts this big ass zoom lens in my face. Okay? In other words, we only like 10 feet away, not even 10 feet away, like 8 feet away, something like that. And clearly I don't want him to do it anymore, because now I see he's an asshole. And but even though he sees that we're not in agreement and I'm not happy with it, I already told him I'm not okay with it anymore, he puts his camera up with this big ass zoom lens, like 10-inch lens, like, you know, it's the lens is like 10 inches long. Right? And he puts that up and just starts taking snapshots right there in my face. And that's what triggered me. That's what triggered me. And you know, I wish it hadn't, but it did, because it was extremely disrespectful. So, but anyway, because it involves a pattern of unwanted attention and harassment, while you may have a constitutional right to photograph in public, I don't know if that's a constitutional right, but anyway, it is legal to do. Okay? While you may have a constitutional right to photograph in public, this right does not extend to actions that constitute harassment or violate a person's reasonable expectation of privacy and safety. So, and then it goes on and gives you more information, more detail. So he was in the wrong legally. He was in the wrong, point blank, period. Because we all know that the man of sin is the man who writes the laws in this wicked world, right? So he makes a hell of a lot of things legal that are not lawful. He makes a hell of a, in other words, it's unrighteous, but according to his law, oh, it's all right, you can do it. So we already know that. But not even in his law, in his unrighteous law, not even in his unrighteous law is it legal to do that. You can't just come up, yeah, you can take pictures at random in public, but you can't just walk up into somebody's face, and start taking pictures of them against their will. You can't do that, right? And so I wish I had known that. good information to have known, because I could have utilized that and leveraged that information to quickly nip the situation in the bud. Hopefully. No guarantee it would have been successful, but it would have increased the chances and the probability that the situation would have been nipped in the bud. Because the longer the situation goes on, the more opportunity that the devil has to basically, take it anywhere. Anything can happen. Okay, we all know that Esau likes his swords. Okay, I mean, and we are men, and we can get, if we get disrespected, we can get angry, and if we get angry, who knows what happens? And Esau's got his weapons. He's got, he's damn near always carrying a sword of some sort, whether it be a pocket knife or a pocket projectile dispenser. You know what I mean, right? Okay, and he was just a little too eager, and we know that Esau hates us. Esau hates his brother. He hates his brother, which we're not brothers anymore because he broke the brotherly covenant, as the scripture says. He's broken the brotherly covenant, but he hates Jacob. He hates us, right? And that hatred came out pretty quickly, right? So he was wrong about that. And had I known that, I could have leveraged that information, but that's not the only thing he was wrong about. Okay? Let me do this. There was a second thing he was wrong about. And this one I knew about, but I just wasn't mindful of it. And so we want to be mindful of these things, because when a demon comes up like that, we really just want to quickly dispatch the demon. We want it to be over with as quickly as possible. That's what we want. We don't want it to get physical. We don't want any long drawn out arguments and all that hostile speech, a war. We don't even want a war of words, let alone anything physical. Because there is no profit in that for us. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty to the pulling down of strongholds and the cast out of imaginations, right? Our power, our protection, and our strength, all of that is in the spiritual. So we want to dispatch with this agent of carnality and just get back to our business, which is preaching the truth, preaching the gospel of the kingdom. And so this information right here, just like the Apostle Paul used the legality of the Roman Empire to his benefit, that was very wise. And he used the legality of being a Roman citizen to his benefit. We need to use Esau's laws that we can use to our benefit to basically just to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Okay? And so here's a second thing I could have used. This one I knew about, I just wasn't being mindful of it. Actions, I asked AI, what types of actions are considered disrupting religious services in public? Okay, because you can't just disrupt the religious service in public. And that's what we have. Okay, when we are out there on the highways and hedges preaching the gospel, it's a religious service. People cannot they do it all the time, right? And we just aren't mindful enough to hit them with this. We need to be more mindful of it. Okay, people cannot just walk up and disrupt our service. They can't do that. It's a religious service out in public. Okay, so they have to respect it. If they don't like what we're saying, then they can beat feet up the street. They can kick rocks. They can do whatever they want to do, but they can't just stand there and disrupt the service. And so I asked Google what types of actions are considered disrupting religious services in public. And here's what AI summarized. Actions that disrupt a public religious service include making unreasonable noise, using loud devices such as bullhorns, what's his name? Vocab Malone likes to do this a lot. Okay. Using loud devices such as bullhorns, okay, and then shouting. Now, when it said, you see the comma there, so the shouting is not with a bullhorn. The shouting is shouting just with or without a bullhorn. So the bullhorn that's one way, and then a second way is shouting. That's not with a bullhorn. That's just with your own voice. No bullhorn there. Somebody just comes up and they start shouting and getting into an arguing match with you. You can be like, hey, look, you disrupting this religious service. Okay, that's against the law. And if you continue to stay, please leave. We're having a religious service here. And if you don't leave, I'm going to call the cops on you and tell them that you're disrupting this religious service that I'm having right here. Okay. And that's legal. And we can utilize that. The hope is that they would just go on up the street. That's the hope. But if you have to, go ahead and call the cops on them. Or you could just leave and relocate. And that's why I'm going to be picking out several other spots that I can go to. Right now, that's always been, I always go to the same spot and preach. But I'm going to pick out like 3 or 4 other spots, and I'm going to start to just randomly go between them. And so if something like that happens at one spot, you can pack up and just go to a different spot. See, so whether you pack up and go to another spot, or whether you tell them that they're violating the law and you're going to call the cops if they don't stop it and they leave, do whatever you need to do to get rid of them. Okay, do whatever you need to do to get rid of them and maintain the flow of the Spirit so that the edification can continue to come out for the flock, for the sheep, for the lambs, because that's what we're about. We're not about contending with any heathen. We're not about contending with any dogs, with any Edomites, with any devils, with any demons. We're not out there for that. Okay, and so if they come out there and they start raising their voice, okay, that's disrupting a public religious service. Protesting violently, harassment of attendees. They harassing. They just come out there and start badgering those that maybe somebody, and this happens a lot when somebody's in the audience getting edified. Almost like clockwork, the spirits will get on, the demons will get on somebody and get that agent of carnality to come up and start interfering with the edification and start harassing the person who's listening, or harassing the brother that's bringing out the truth. See, you can't do that. You can't do that. Harassment of attendees, vandalism, assaults, and interfering with the service. Point blank, period. Okay, through physical actions or causing alarm. And see, that's exactly what, going back to Acts 21 and Acts 22, that's exactly what they were doing in the temple. When the Apostle Paul was there, they stirred up the people against him. Okay, you can read it in Acts 21. See, so anybody that comes up and interrupts you brothers out there on the highways and hedges, anybody that comes up and interrupts you and interrupts the edification that you're bringing out, if they want to stay, they got to be quiet and just listen. If they don't want to be quiet and just listen, or they can ask sincere questions. But if they're asking questions on demon time, okay, they trying to cause disruption, then you have every legal right to ask them to leave and tell them they're disrupting the service, and that is against the law, and they need to leave, or else you're going to call the cops. And then it's up to you, your prerogative in the Spirit, whether you call the cops on them or not, or whether you just pack up and leave and go somewhere else. Okay, but you have every legal right to do that. Again, actions that disrupt a public religious service include making unreasonable noise, using loud devices such as bullhorns, shouting, protesting violently, harassment of attendees, vandalism, assaults, and interfering with the service through physical actions or causing alarm. Okay? Stirring up the people, stirring up trouble, stirring up discord, stirring up strife. These actions are considered illegal when committed with the intent to annoy. And yeah, it's hella annoying. It is hella annoying to us. All right. These actions are considered illegal when committed with the intent to annoy or alarm, or when they recklessly create a risk of annoyance or alarm during a lawfully assembled service. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're out there in accordance with the law, exercising our quote unquote supposed, it's not really, but free speech, right? And it's a public assembly, all right? A public religious service, and they're disrupting it. That's illegal. See, so it's good to know these things, brothers. Yes, it's okay for check the specifics in the state that you're at and all that, okay? But generally speaking, it is lawful to take pictures in public at random, but not at close proximity to somebody, against their will. That you can't do. That's considered stalking, or can be considered stalking. And somebody want to come up in your face and start taking pictures, and by in your face I mean like they're like almost in touching distance. Like I said, he was maybe like 8 feet away from me. You could actually see him as he was moving. You can actually see him just a little bit in the frame because he was like that close, like only like 8 feet away, 7-8 feet away. And he's got this big ass zoom lens in my face taking pictures after we've already been disagreeing on it, and I've already told him that no, it's not okay. And so that's actually what triggered me. So it's good to know that, brothers. Somebody just can't come up and start taking pictures right up on you like that. That's actually not legal. You got to check in your state, okay? Because I highly doubt it would be any different, but you got to make sure. And then it's also illegal for them just to disrupt your service in any way. If you feel like there being a disruption, then there being a disruption, and that's not legal. And you can hit them with that. And the hope is, Yahweh Razah, that will be the motivation that they need to just leave you alone and just go on about their day. Because that's really what we want, right? So hopefully this information right here is beneficial to you, brothers. We need to keep it in mind. I needed to have kept it. I needed to be aware of this information. Like half of it I was, but the other half I wasn't. And the half that I was aware of, I wasn't mindful of it. And I dropped the ball on that. I should have been. I wish I had been. And I also wish I hadn't stepped out from behind the 12 tribes chart. But like I said, he triggered me with that gesture of great disrespect. Okay. And I already knew that I was dealing with a demon. He had already pissed me off. And so it was a trigger reaction. I didn't really think about it. And that's why we just really want these types of things to not happen. And if they do happen, we want to bring it to an end as quickly as possible, because you just never know what's going to happen, right? And we are as sheep amongst wolves. So I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to pull over. And when I pull over, I'm going to just kind of step through what happened and bring out a little more edification from the book of Acts, and that'll be this lesson. Yahweh Razah is edifying and beneficial to you, brothers. All right, so bear with me a brief second. All right, so I pulled over, and what I want to do now is just kind of step through the exchange and bring out a few more thoughts about it, because I had just got finished edifying this potential daughter of Zion here. She was quite humble overall, and she may be a daughter of Zion, she may be a heathen. It was a little hard to say, but I did let her know that she could possibly be a daughter of Zion. And that was right before this interaction. And,
Second Ezra 14.
Yeah, he walked up. I was trying to wrap up. I'm going to turn the volume down here for a little bit, because I was trying to wrap up, because it was getting dark. I typically, I'm not out there when the sun goes down, but I got a late start, and you see him there. There he is, and I hadn't really noticed him. You see he's taking pictures of me right there, okay? And technically, even that right there, that's probably not even legal, because that's probably too close. He's taking specific pictures of me, and it's kind of, in my, that's maybe kind of like somewhat iffy, but I don't know. I'd have to ask whether or not that's permitted. But he's taking pictures of me, and I don't even realize it at that time. I think I had looked over there and I saw him, or I might have looked at something else, but I hadn't noticed him really yet. And he walks across, and when he gets over on the other side, what he's doing is he's taking more snapshots of me, and I don't realize it. And what happens is, after about another 30 or 40 seconds, or maybe a minute or so, I see him over there, and when I see him, he's looking real shady. He's looking real shifty. He's looking real sneaky. That's, and when I see him over there, that's why I kind of look at him like that for a second, because it's like, oh, he over there being sneaky, okay? Because he kind of like look like, how you look at somebody, you know how it is. You look at somebody slacking. Let me get rid of this here. Yeah, there we go. And that's
okay.
All right. I'm not sure what I've been recording and what I haven't, because I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. Right. So I'm not sure. I had it paused, and then I thought I resumed it, but maybe I didn't. So apparently I didn't. But so I'm not sure what I've covered. So I'm just going to kind of start back over with this recap here, because what you're going to see is you're going to see the devil, and he is a devil. He is an Edomite. And that's based off of how this interaction goes. It's not, it is a generality pursuant to Genesis 25 and 25 that the Edomites look like what you would call Caucasians or so-called white people today, right? But I'm calling him an Edomite based off of the way he was thinking, his manner of speech, his reasoning, and his logic. And that once things went all the way south, he started to call me boy. And he was very, very eager to get things physical. He was eager to get things physical, almost as if he had a weapon of some sort. Okay, whether it be a pocket knife or whether it be a pocket projectile dispenser. It's like why can't you say these words, man? People say these words, but if we say the words, our videos will get struck and taken down, right? So you know what I mean, right? Pyong pyong, one of those, because he looks like the type. Esau carries weapons a lot. He carries weapons a lot. Okay, going back to his forefather Cain, which Cain, the name Cain means piercing or stabbing weapon. Okay, that's it, and their blessing is a sword. Deception is their nature, but their blessing is the sword. The sword is the blessing, but deception is their nature. So they always, not always, but a lot of them carry around swords, carry around weapons of some sort. If they don't have a pyong pyong, then they have a pocket knife, probably like 3.5, 4 inches long. And if you know what you're doing, that's plenty enough long to do you some serious hurt. So, and he just looked like he was really too eager for that. But what you're going to see is he's going to come up. He's going to start taking pictures of me. I don't realize it yet, okay? Because I'm really focused on getting this last precept, bringing out the prophecies that are happening, and wrapping up the camp because it's late. I don't like to be out when it's dark. So I don't notice him at first. He's taking pictures, and then he walks across the frame to the other side of me, and he's maybe only like, I'd say about 15 feet away, and I still don't notice him yet, but he's taking pictures, and then I notice him. And when I notice him, he's looking real sneaky, and that's why I like look at him for a while, because I'm like, he over there sneaking pictures. And I don't automatically get hostile with him. I'm trying to just figure out what's going on and who is he and what he's up to. So let's let it roll.
And this is our Father Yahweh. This is our Father Yahweh having a conversation with the prophet Ezra, which his name is spelled a little different because it's been translated from different manuscripts. But when you go to the 66, which is incomplete, by the way, you gotta have the apocrypha with it. But when you go to the 66, his name would be Ezra. That's this same prophet, Ezra's, right? So that prophet Ezra or Ezra's is having a conversation with the Most High, our Father Yahweh, through the archangel.
And that right there, according to what we just read, is not legal. You can't just be taking pictures of somebody like that. Okay. Now, at this point, I hadn't told him I don't want him to, so he might have a case, right? So I wouldn't try to push that, right? Because like it said in the AI overview, it has to be against their knowledge, and it's also debatable how, would you consider that to be up close? Okay. Me, yes. Okay. But again, I hadn't noticed him, so I hadn't told him I didn't want him to do it yet. But that's not polite, man. Okay. Taking pictures of somebody out in public and they don't know about it. That's disrespectful. And it is an invasion of privacy. Okay. At least let somebody know, or go across the street. And if you notice, when he walks across the frame, his camera is pretty expensive and he has a big, huge zoom lens on it. So even if he was across the street, he just get that zoom lens on me. It'll be like he's standing right there. But still.
Uriel. I made sure I had the right one. Because Raphael
is taking them pictures right now.
This is Uriel. So Uriel's there, but through Uriel, our Father Yahweh, our Father Yahweh is speaking to
on that camera.
Ezra through the angel. And this is what he tells him about how much time is left in this age. Okay, so 2nd Ezra 14. It's getting a little dark out here. Let me find it. How you doing?
Right. And so, yeah, that's when I first noticed him, and he was looking real sneaky over there.
You need something?
No, it's okay if I take a picture.
For what purpose?
Oh, so now Esau wants to ask if it okay if he takes my picture. But see, see, he's just full of inconsistencies. He's already been taking who knows how many pictures, because by the time he comes over, he shows me the pictures, and he's got like a ton of pictures already. Okay, and then he asks me, is it okay? But then later on, when I tell him that no, it's not okay, he don't give a damn. Okay, he like I said, he's making it very clear that he's a devil.
Photography on Instagram. It's just street photography.
All right. I mean, just photography.
Right, and right now I'm real suspicious of him because he was sneaking. If he hadn't have been sneaking, if he just would have come up and start taking pictures, I still would have said a few things to him, but I wouldn't have been quite as suspicious of him, right? But I was suspicious of him because he was being sneaky, and that's why I'm hesitant, right? Because normally I don't have a problem with people taking pictures because, hey, I know it's out in public, and in addition to that, anybody at any time can go on our YouTube pages and take screenshots and do whatever they want with it, put it on whatever social media they want, right? So it's almost like it's no point having an issue with people taking pictures, but certain things are based off of principle, right? So, right here, I'm just suspicious of him. I'm trying to figure out who is this dude and what's he up to? What's the reason why he's taking pictures?
I suppose so. It's you can go on YouTube and take snapshots and anything, but you just taking pictures for your Instagram page or something.
Just taking pictures for Instagram.
All right.
Just trying to get some creative stuff.
Well, I tell you what though, it'd be good to let me know that first.
Yeah, and so right then he just came over and he started showing me the pictures. So at this point, and he seems like he's being pretty reasonable. And he's showing me the pictures that he's taken. And so I'm starting to feel like, okay, it doesn't seem like this dude is an agent of any sort. It seems like he's just a goofy Edomite that's just taking pictures of people, and being sneaky about it, looking goofy. Because that's what he was doing. He was being sneaky, but it was a goofy looking sneaky. Okay? And now I'm starting to feel like, okay, he's going to come over here and show me the pictures. It's after the fact, but he's asking. After the fact, yes, but he's still asking, and he's showing me the pictures. All right, he's probably just a goofy Edomite. Right? And so I'm starting to feel like, okay, well, fine, go. Yeah, you can take your pictures. I just want to let you know that the polite, respectful thing to do is to let somebody know first. Okay? Ask me first. Like, he just asked me. So all I'm saying is ask me first. Don't ask me after you've already taken a dozen pictures or more. And so that's when the devil's horns come out and he shows his true colors.
You also are in public, though. Just a fair warning.
Yeah, but it's a polite thing to do.
Are you live streaming?
Yeah, it's a polite thing to do.
I was on camera down there.
But I didn't know. No, just let me know you're doing it. I'm all right with it.
Yeah,
I'm all right with it.
I'm just saying. But you're doing the same thing. We're in the same boat right now.
No. But see, that's not the same thing because you're taking a picture specifically of.
Yeah, and that's where he suckered me in, because in his demonic mind with his twisted logic, okay, me having a camera set up, recording myself and recording the background where people incidentally walk into the frame and then walk out, but I'm not specifically recording them. In his demonic mind, that's the same thing as him being able to stand off to the side and sneakily take pictures of me, right? And we already saw that AI, said that no, those are two different things. But in his mind, it was. And this is where it would have been very, very good and beneficial for me to know that law so that I could say, well, actually, according to the law, you're right, I am in public. And in public, you can take pictures of people in public, but not up close against their consent. That's actually against the law. That actually is and can be considered harassment. So I'm going to ask you not to do that. And if you continue to do that, then I'm going to, I'm going to submit this evidence here to the cops. I'm going to call the cops on you. Oh, and also I'm having a religious service, and it's also illegal for you to disrupt my religious service. And so you need to not disrupt the religious service. You need to not take pictures of me up close and personal. If you want to go across the street and take pictures, that's your prerogative. And I could have told him those things, and if I had that information ready, if I had that information on hand, and I didn't. But if I did, it could have potentially nipped the situation in the bud. And that's why it's good to know this information. And so I encourage you, brothers, to look at the laws that are local to whatever state you're in, so that you can be aware of this information. And the Elder Apostle Tahar has been pushing this a lot. He's been pushing this a lot. That's the reason why I knew about the disrupting of legal services, because he mentioned that. The only thing is, I didn't really put it in my pocket. I didn't really grab it, right? It wasn't really in the forefront of my mind, and it should have been. Had it been, I could have used it this night. And then in addition to that, I did not at all know the laws about taking pictures in public, okay? Because he was saying that he can just do whatever he wants. He can just stand, and that's what he did. He ultimately just standing right there, as close as he is, he ultimately just put the camera in my face and started taking pictures. And again, that's what triggered me. That's what really pissed me off. I was already angry, but that's what really pissed me off. And I did not know the legal basis. I did not know that I could hit him with the fact that that's not legal. That's actually considered harassment. That's actually considered stalking. So it would have been very beneficial to know that here, because this is where things went all the way left. Okay. And I saw his demonic thinking. I saw his devilish thinking, but I thought that he was being cool. So I thought that I could reason with him. And that's how he suckered me in. He was being cool. He walked over, he showed me the pictures, and he asked. It was late, but he asked. So I'm thinking, okay, this dude is actually being cool. Okay, so I can actually talk to him a little bit. And that was a mistake. No, I couldn't. Okay, because as soon as I tried to reason with him and just make a reasonable request that he at least let me know first, he showed that he was a devil. And as you watch this interaction, what is the reason to make an argument here? I'm telling you that it's okay. You can take the pictures. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just asking you to politely let me know ahead of time. You've already asked, now that I caught you, because he was caught. He was caught. He was looking guilty. You've already asked now that I've caught you, and I'm telling you it's okay. I'm just saying, please, it's polite to let me know that ahead of time. What is the reason to create an argument here? There's no reason. Just go, okay, all right, okay, whatever. And I was prepared to let him just stand there and take a few more pictures and go on about his merry way. But because I said, hey, look, it's polite to let me know ahead of time. You've already let me know after. Because I said it's polite to let me know ahead of time, forget the fact that I've already said it's okay. Forget the fact that all I'm doing is asking you to let me know what you've already let me know after the fact. Just let me know beforehand. Forget all that. I'm just going to pick a bone with you and make an argument. See, this is devilish, demonic activity here. That's what it is, to disrupt the spirit, and unfortunately, that's what happened.
You can go on YouTube and take snapshots and anything, but you just taking pictures for your Instagram page or something?
Just taking pictures for Instagram.
Right.
Just trying to get some creative stuff.
Well, I tell you what though, it'd be good to let me know that first.
Yeah, you also are in public though. Just a fair warning.
Yeah, but it's a polite thing to do.
Are you live streaming?
Yeah, it's a polite thing to do.
I was on camera down there.
But I didn't know. No, just let me know you're doing it. I'm all right with it.
Yeah,
I'm all right with it.
I'm just saying.
See, there's no reason to make an issue here. I'm already telling them, hey, look, I'm cool with you doing what you want to do. I just wish you would have told me beforehand. And for future reference, it's good to what's the reason to make a fight here? What's the reason to make an argument here? Because he's a devil.
We're doing the same thing. We're in the same boat right now.
And he's wrong about that.
No, but see, that's not the same thing. Because you're taking a picture specifically of me to put on a page, which I'm not going to care about it too much because, like I said, it's on YouTube. But that's the polite thing to do would be to let me know that. Yeah. So that way pictures are not being taken of me and I don't know it.
You should also politely.
No. Don't try. Don't. No. Don't. Well, then,
If you wanna-
Yeah, and see, so that's where I saw what I was dealing with, because up until that point he seemed like he was being cool, except for the sneakiness. Up to that point, it seemed like he was being cool. But we're always discerning and reading spirits and all that. And at that point, I started to see clear Edomite signs, clear Edomite demonic devilish signs. And it would have been very, very helpful for me to know at this point that no, according to the law, is taking pictures at random in public or recording at random in public is one thing. Yes, you can do that, but taking pictures specifically of somebody, especially when it's at a reasonably close distance, that is actually not legal, as particularly when it's against their consent, and that can be considered stalking. I wish I had known that, because I would have been able to leverage and utilize that information and hopefully shut it down. But since I didn't know that, the devil thought he had a leg to stand on, and it just continued and it escalated.
You should angle your camera away from the street.
Well, then do this. Do me a favor then, and now it's no longer all right.
Do me a favor.
No, it's no longer all right.
See, he's just looking to instigate things. See, and this is why we don't want to deal with these people. I wish I would have known that law so I could just shut it down. I wish, I would have not even tried to reason with him in the first place. But stuff happens. Like I said, it was an ambush, right? And had I known the law, I could have used it. And that's why, I want to make it, make it known to you brothers, and most likely the laws are going to be very similar wherever you're at. Okay. Somebody can't just come up against your consent and take pictures at close proximity of you, nor can they disrupt the service at all. Both of those things are illegal. And this devil is trying to say that, you can record at random. You can take pictures at a distance, right? At random and at a distance, you can do that. And this devil's trying to say that's the same thing as him putting that camera up in my face. And he was wrong. And I just didn't know that it was legal. I just didn't know I had a legal, leg to stand on. I should have known that.
All right, and when they get the hell out of here, man. You false, man. You should have just let me know that. Nobody's here. Take your picture. Then get on. Take your picture and get out of here, man. Take your picture.
And see, I wish it wouldn't have ever. It was my desire that it would have never even got to that point, because what happened is I thought he was reasonable, so I tried to reason with him, and then he started acting like a devil, and it pissed me off. It's just straight up, man. It pissed me off because I read what he was doing. I saw clearly that he was on demon time, and it angered me. Because I don't want to deal with that. And once it angered me, well, hey.
Get out of here, Esau. Take your picture and get out of here, Esau. Okay? No.
Yeah, and right there, what he did, you can't see it because he's just off the frame. You can kind of see his camera a little bit when he was moving it, but he wanted to stand there and just take pictures of me right in my face. Even though we just disagreed, even though things have turned hostile, and it triggered me. And if I could only take one thing back, I would take that back. I wish I had stayed back there. And like I said, it's a learning opportunity. And Yahweh Razah going forward, I do better with that. And I believe I will through the Spirit of Yahweh Shemasha. Especially since now I know that I can I got a better understanding of the law, and I can point out to them when they're doing illegal things, So Yahweh Razah, I'll do better. And Yahweh Razah, you brothers can utilize that information as well. Oh, and I do want to make it clear that when I walked up to him, I wasn't intending of getting physical with him. I wasn't intending on getting physical. I really, like I said, it was really a trigger reaction. I really just wanted him to, delete all the pictures of me that he had. But as I was walking to him, I knew that there was no real way for me to make him do that. As I was taking those 2 or 3 steps, I was thinking just that quick, there ain't gonna be no way for me to get those pictures off that camera. The only way I could get the pictures off the camera is to tell him, demand that he delete them. I already know he ain't going to do that. The only other option would be to take the camera and delete them myself, I wasn't going to do that, right? So I wasn't stepping to him to get physical with him, but you know, it still wasn't a good thing to do, right?
Don't step up.
Don't take pictures of me like that. You can't do that. Well, then don't do that.
Don't step up.
Don't. Hey, look,
You're in
man.
public. You have no right to privacy in public.
Nah, man. You can't be doing this, man. You get out of here, bro. Hey, look, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because this devil right here is out here.
And that was if things weren't going to go the right way, that was the best thing to do. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to go ahead and wrap up and get out of there, because the spirits get stirred up, the demons get stirred up, the demons get stirred up, and they can get us in the flesh, and then things can go south, and we don't want that, right? Things can get carnal, and Esau was trying to provoke me. You're going to hear him trying to provoke me here.
Causing trouble. So I'm gonna go out here and wrap up. Okay? I don't give a damn what you
Practice what you preach, buddy. Practice what you preach.
You don't know what I preach. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know what I preach.
Yeah, and so he just really pissed me off. It is what it is, man. Straight up. He really pissed me off. Here it is, the devil is going to be standing in judgment over me. Talking about practice what you preach. Man, and he don't know what I preach. Oh my goodness, man. So yeah, it pissed me off. But that's the reason why I would like to not even engage at all with this type of situational scenario. But sometimes it happens.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Now I said you should let me know. You should let me know. Man, get the hell out of here. I'm done with you, man. Get the hell out of here. I'm done with you, man. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, he started calling me boy.
The pot calling the kettle black. Get the hell out of here, Esau. You showing your true colors. You showing your true colors. You showing your true colors. Yeah, I hear you calling me boy too. I hear you calling me boy too.
Yeah, if you hear him, he's telling me to do something. See, and that's what I've noticed a lot of the times. These Edomites wanna try to get us to get carnal and get physical, and that gives them an excuse to use their blessing, which is the sword, right? And slay their brother Jacob, because that's really what's in their heart. They really have hatred. Okay, even though you see how he came up like he was going to be cool, but then soon as I said one simple thing to him about, hey, look, it's polite to let me know ahead of time, he changed. And he started to, his devilish demonic reasoning started to come out, and I could see what he was doing, and it pissed me off, right? And, at the end of the day, they really hate us. Like it says in, what's that, the 55th Psalm? Yeah, I think it's the 55th Psalm. Though their words were smooth as butter, yet were they drawing swords. Let me just get that real quick. Here it is. Okay. Hatred was in his heart the whole time. Okay. Psalms 55. And here it is. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. See? And we know already, man, that Esau hates his brother Jacob. Okay? And it's always been in their heart to slay us. And even with the Edomites that are going around today, that are calling themselves Bible-believing Baptists and Christians and all this, and talking about, no, I love black people. They have a hatred in their heart for us, and they want to slay us too. They just are in denial. They just don't, maybe they don't even realize it, but it's in their hearts. It's in all their hearts. Okay? That's the way it is. So he's trying to entice me, telling me to do something, calling me boy. I already told you I'm done with you. I already told you that I'm getting ready to wrap up. I'm getting out of here. I don't want to have anything else to do with you, but he's talking about do something. And I've just noticed that. A lot of the Edomites do that. They try to entice and provoke me into some type of physical altercation when, I don't want to have any altercation with them at all. Zero. Okay? And so, but it is what it is. We need to use wisdom. All right? The closer we get to the end, I needed to use more wisdom than I did, man. The closer we get, it was a wise move for me to just go ahead and wrap it up. Okay? I just wish I'd have done it sooner. I'd have shut it down sooner, and I wish I had have known the law, because I could have used that against them. But the closer we get to the end, the more and more these spirits are going to get stirred up, and the more dangerous it's going to be out there. And we know ultimately we're going to be driven off the streets. We're going to be off the streets, and we're going to be off of YouTube. We're going to be off the internet. We know these things, right? So when we get back into Acts 22, we go over to Acts 21, and we see here that this is when the Apostle Paul was in Jerusalem. And when he was over there, the wicked Israelites were stirring up they were stirring up the people against Paul. And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him, the Apostle Paul, in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him. So they just was looking to cause trouble. Okay, like I said, whether it be wicked Israelites or whether it be Edomites, wicked heathen, especially the Edomites, particularly usually the Edomites, okay, stirring up trouble, okay? We just there to preach the word, you're going to stir up trouble, okay? And you see down here, these are wicked Israelites, man. And as they went about to kill him, they wanted to kill the Apostle Paul. Okay, tidings came unto the chief captain of the band that all Jerusalem was in an uproar, who immediately took soldiers and centurions and ran down unto them. And when they saw the chief captain and the soldiers, they left beating of Paul. So they was beating him. Okay, man, those that are being demons, they are hostile to this truth. All right, and they are not. Hey, look, the wicked of our people, man. Not the apostle. Yahweh said, ye do always slay or kill the prophets. Okay, so whether it be the wicked of our people who would oppose this truth, or of course, damn sure it's Esau. All right, hey, they really want to come after us. They really want to put hands on us. They really want to slay us. That's really what they want to do. All right, and even if they come different, or they don't necessarily consciously know it, that's what's in their heart. So when we get back over here to this Acts 22, just to bring it all home and get ready to wrap this up. As the Apostle Paul was being bound, he asked a very good question, because he was using wisdom here. The Apostle Paul used wisdom, and he knew that what they were doing, it could not be legally done to a Roman citizen. So the Apostle Paul used that to his advantage. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman? The Apostle Paul knew it wasn't. That's the reason why he asked the question. And uncondemned. When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yea. And the chief captain answered, with a great sum obtained I this freedom. And Paul said, but I was freeborn. Then straightway they departed from him, which should have examined him, and the chief captain also was afraid. So the Apostle Paul made a very smart and wise move by bringing up the legality of the matter. In other words, what y'all are doing is not legal. And what happened? They stopped it and they got afraid. So it would have been very beneficial for me to know the legality of the matter here, because he was wrong on two accounts. Okay, he was disrupting my religious service. That's illegal. All right. And he was also illegally harassing me by taking pictures of me at close proximity against my will, and I had made it known to him. So he was wrong on both of those accounts. And if I had known that and been mindful of it, it would have been very beneficial for me to utilize that information to hopefully nip the situation in the bud. And it's very good to keep these things in mind. And I'm speaking first for myself, because I have a lot of room for improvement based on how things went here, right? A lot of room for improvement. And so I'm speaking first and foremost to myself, because the closer we get to the end, the more perilous it's going to get out there on those highways and hedges. And the more the demons and the spirits are going to get stirred up. All right. And things are going to happen. So we really got to be on our P's and Q's. We really got to be moving in the spirit. Okay. Utilizing wisdom, moving with wisdom with them that are without. Right. a good tool in the shed for that, or a good tool in the toolbox for that, is to know the local laws, know the legality of the matter. Okay, people can't just roll up on you and take pictures at close proximity against your knowledge and your will. That's illegal. All right. Again, check the specifics in your area, but probably the same, and they can't disrupt your service. All right. Both of those are illegal. Okay, and most likely they're going to be illegal, where you're at as well. So the Apostle Paul set a very good example here, because he utilized that, and it was very effective. He utilized that. He utilized the legality of Roman law. He utilized Roman law with great effectiveness to get himself out of that flogging that he was going to get, because it says to examine him. Let me see here. Yeah, because he had ordered him bound and whipped. Okay, that examination was going to be not just verbal; it was going to be physical. They was going to examine him. They was going to interrogate him, but it was going to be with some beating, right? And so he used that to get out of it. And so this is a good example. We need to keep that in mind, and I need to keep it in mind. And hopefully you brothers are more mindful of it as well, and you can learn from my lack of knowledge with regards to that, and you can learn from my mistakes, right? Because I should have been better prepared. And Yahweh Razai, as a result of my errors and my lack of preparation and just not being ready for this type of thing to happen, Yahweh Razai, you brothers are better prepared, and you brothers are better ready than I was, and also I'm better ready in the future, all right? Because things are just going to get more dangerous out there on the highways and hedges for us. So Yahweh Razai, this was edifying to you and helpful, all right, edifying and encouraging. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Before I do, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shabbat, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching, pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. Adonai, Radazad, this lesson was edifying and encouraging to you, Achim, and any Achwaf that may be listening and or watching. Ayashmi Akona, Azanyim La Shemai Shemai. Let him who has ears to hear. Kwam Yasharala, Babakusha, Abai Babal Aitha, will call Adawam. Shalom Lahabachariam, Shalom.